The hum of the research station was the only sound Daniel Rios had grown used to over the past 6 months. The station orbited a quiet blue planet, far from Earth, where humans and several alien species worked together. It was not a war outpost, nor a trade hub. It was something stranger, a place where species shared knowledge. Daniel was one of only 20 humans allowed here. Most of the others were scientists, diplomats, or linguists. He was an engineer, a fixer of small problems that bigger minds didn't have the time for. He liked the quiet, the steady rhythm of repairing air filters, adjusting power grids, or running checks on the station's rotating habitat ring. But one presence on the station refused to let him stay invisible. Her name was Kayla, a woman from the Sarathi species. She was taller than most humans, her skin a pale silver that shimmered faintly in the artificial lights. Her hair was long and dark, flowing like ink, and her eyes carried a strange inner glow, soft yet watchful. She was known among her people as a scholar of deep knowledge, a leader in neural sciences. Most spoke of her with respect, some with awe. Daniel, however, found her unsettling. Not because of how she looked, he had gotten used to aliens, but because of how she acted around him. Every night cycle, when the lights dimmed and most species retreated to their quarters, Kayla avoided hers. Instead, she would appear near Daniel. At first, it was small things, passing him in the corridors, sitting at a table near him in the mess hall, or standing in the observation deck when he was there. But soon he noticed something stranger. She never seemed to rest unless he was nearby. One evening, as Daniel sat in the common lounge trying to repair a cracked datapad screen, Kayla entered quietly. The lounge was empty except for them. "Engineer Rios," she said in her calm, deep voice. Daniel looked up. "Evening, Kayla." She didn't move at first. Then she walked to the other side of the room and sat on one of the reclining chairs. Her silver fingers touched the controls, lowering the chair into a resting position. She closed her eyes. Within minutes, Daniel heard the soft, steady rhythm of her breathing. He frowned. "Seriously?" he muttered to himself. It wasn't the first time. He had noticed it in the past week. Kayla would only fall asleep when he was in the same room. The moment he left, she would stir, restless, awake again. At first, Daniel thought it was coincidence, but now it was too obvious to ignore. Later that night, when she woke and rose from the chair, Daniel finally asked, "Why do you keep doing this?" Kayla tilted her head slightly. "Doing what?" "Sleeping when I'm around. Following me like some shadow. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind company, but this is weird." Her glowing eyes studied him carefully. For a long moment, she did not answer. Then she said quietly, "Because only beside you my mind becomes still." Daniel blinked. What does that even mean? But Kayla gave no more explanation. She only inclined her head in a gesture of thanks and left. The next day, Daniel tried to ignore it. He had work, a malfunction in the oxygen recycler on Deck 5. While he adjusted valves and replaced filters, he tried to push the thought of Kayla out of his head. But that evening, when he returned to the lounge, there she was again. She didn't speak. She didn't demand anything. She simply sat near him, closed her eyes, and drifted into sleep. He sighed. This is getting out of hand. A week later, word began to spread. Humans whispered among themselves, and even the tall insectoid Korans clicked their mandibles in curiosity. A Sarathi woman, one of their brightest minds, could not sleep unless a human was present. It wasn't a scandal, not yet. But people noticed. And Daniel hated being noticed. One night, when Kayla settled into her usual chair, Daniel set down his datapad and faced her. "Kayla," he said firmly, "this can't go on without an explanation. I'm just a human engineer. Why me? Why not one of your people?" Her silver eyelids lifted. She looked at him with calm honesty. "Because with them, my thoughts are too loud. With you, they are quiet." Daniel rubbed his forehead. "That makes no sense." "Perhaps not to you. Kyla said. But for me, it is truth. My people, we rest only when our minds can synchronize with another. For most, that is easy. For me, it is not. Their presence brings me noise. Yours brings me silence. Without silence, I cannot sleep. Daniel stared. He had heard fragments about Sarathi biology. Their brains worked differently, relying on strange energy patterns to calm themselves. But the idea that a human could replace that was absurd. Why me, though? He asked. Why not another human? Kyla gave the faintest smile. I do not know. Perhaps the stars chose, perhaps fate. I only know that when you leave, I wake. Daniel leaned back in his chair, unsure whether to laugh or worry. He wasn't used to being important to anyone, let alone an alien scholar. He was just Daniel Rios, the guy who kept the air flowing and the lights on. But to her, he was something else. The thought unsettled him. That night, when the station lights dimmed and the stars beyond the windows glowed, Kayla slept peacefully on the chair. Daniel sat across from her, restless. He told himself he would leave, break the strange habit before it grew worse. But he didn't. For reasons he could not explain, he stayed. And so began the mystery of the alien woman who refused to sleep unless he was beside her. Daniel woke early, before the station's morning lights had even brightened. He hadn't slept much. His mind kept circling the same thought. Why him? Kayla's words from last night replayed in his head. With you, my mind is quiet. Simple words, but heavy. He had no training in alien medicine or psychology. He was an engineer, not a scientist. Yet somehow a woman from one of the galaxy's most advanced species depended on him for something as basic as sleep. When he entered the mess hall for breakfast, he found Kayla already there. She sat alone, untouched food before her. A small glowing tablet displayed reports she was reading, but her eyes were unfocused, as if she was drifting. You don't eat much, do you? Daniel asked, sliding into the seat across from her. Kyla looked up slowly. Our bodies need little, but my mind needs rest. Without you, rest does not come. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. You realize how strange that sounds, right? I mean, you're Sarathi. You're supposed to be stronger, smarter. And I'm, well, just a guy who fixes broken vents. Her glowing eyes narrowed. Do not dismiss yourself so easily, Daniel. Rios, there is strength in what is simple. Many overlook it. That silence stretched between them until Daniel finally cleared his throat. Okay, then explain it to me. What is really happening with you? Kayla set down her tablet. You know that my species enters deep sleep through neural synchronization. It is not like your human sleep. Our minds must align with another presence. Usually we pair with our kin. Their signals calm our thoughts. Without that, we remain restless, awake, and weakened. Daniel nodded slowly. He had heard of this. The Sarathi were social sleepers, their brains wired to connect in ways humans couldn't fully understand. But you don't connect with your people? He asked. Kayla shook her head. Their presence is loud. Their signals clash with mine. I have struggled for years, forcing myself to rest beside them, but it brings no peace. Only with you does silence come. Daniel frowned. So you're saying I'm like a natural sleeping pill for you? Kayla tilted her head, considering the words. Crude, but not wrong. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. That's weird. I mean, not bad weird, just how does that even happen? Humans aren't even close to your species. Kayla's voice softened. Perhaps it is rare. Perhaps it is new. Or perhaps it is what your people bring to the stars. Later that day, Daniel tried to focus on work, but the conversation clung to him. As he checked the coolant pipes in the reactor wing, he caught other crew members whispering. 2 humans passed by, glancing at him with smirks. A pair of insectoid chorons clicked their mandibles, amused. Word had spread faster than he thought. By evening, Even Commander Harvin, the human officer in charge of the station's Earth delegation, called him into his office. "Rios," Harvin said, leaning back in his chair, "you've gotten yourself into quite a situation." Daniel shifted uneasily. "Sir, I didn't do anything. She just shows up." "That's not what people are saying," Harvin replied. "They say a Sarathi scholar can't sleep without you. Do you know what that means? To them it looks like dependency. To us it looks like influence." Daniel blinked. "Influence? I'm not manipulating her. I barely understand what's happening." Harvin's voice softened slightly. "I believe you. But politics don't care about truth. Some Sarathi leaders are already uneasy working with humans. If one of their brightest minds leans on you, they'll see it as weakness, or, worse, as us trying to control her." Daniel felt a chill. "So what do you want me to do? Push her away? Tell her to stop?" Harvin sighed. "I want you to be careful. Help her if you must, but keep this quiet. Don't give anyone more reasons to stir trouble." Daniel left the office with a heavy weight on his shoulders. He had never asked for this attention, never wanted to be at the center of alien politics. Yet here he was, tied to Kayla by something neither of them could explain. That night, Daniel found Kayla waiting again in the lounge. She looked tired, faint circles under her glowing eyes. "You shouldn't be here," Daniel said. "People are talking." "I do not care for their talk," Kayla answered calmly. "I care for rest, and only beside you can I find it." Daniel exhaled slowly. "You're making things complicated for both of us." Kayla studied him for a long moment, then spoke. The whispers started quietly, but by mid-cycle they were impossible to ignore. In the corridors of the research station, every glance seemed to carry a question. Crew members and visiting scholars alike glanced at Daniel with curiosity or suspicion. Some of the humans tried to joke about it, but the alien presence in the station made humor risky. Kayla, meanwhile, was as calm as ever, moving through the station with her usual grace. Yet Daniel could sense tension building around her. The Sarathi, normally reserved and formal, exchanged subtle gestures and murmured words in their melodic, sharp language. It was during the afternoon work rotation that the first confrontation happened. Daniel was checking a set of power conduits on Deck 7 when a Sarathi official, tall and commanding, approached him. Her silver robes reflected the station lights, and her eyes, usually soft, were hard. "You, human," she said, her voice carrying over the hum of the systems. "Explain why Kayla depends on you for rest." Daniel straightened. "I don't make her depend on me, she chooses it. That's how it works." The official's eyes narrowed. "This is irregular. Our records show no human has ever affected Sarathi neural patterns. How can you possess such influence?" Daniel hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "It's not influence, it's connection. My presence calms her mind, that's all." "Connection," the official repeated, her tone sharp. "A Sarathi scholar cannot rest with her own kind. She rests with a human. This is unusual. Unacceptable." Daniel clenched his fists. "You don't understand. I'm not a threat to her. I'm helping." "Helping is not enough," she replied coldly. "We cannot allow this to continue. Kayla must learn to rest without you." Daniel shook his head. "She can't. You've seen the readings. My presence is the only thing that works. If you force her, she'll suffer. She could get sick." The official paused, her expression softening slightly. "I will speak with the council. But you, human, must step back, for your sake and hers." Daniel swallowed hard. "I can't. I won't leave her alone." The Sarathi official's lips pressed into a thin line before she left, her robes swishing behind her. Daniel exhaled, tension building in his shoulders. He knew this was just the beginning. That evening, Kayla found him in the lounge waiting. She looked at him calmly, but Daniel could see her awareness of the rising tension. "They are questioning you," Daniel said. "And me." "I am aware," Kayla replied softly. "Do not let it trouble you. Let them speak. I will sleep. Daniel shook his head. It troubles me. They might try to separate us. They might punish you. Kayla studied him. If they try, it is their concern. My concern is rest. That is all. Daniel sighed. Easy for you to say. She gave him a small smile. Do you think it is easy for me to need someone who should not be needed? I do not choose this bond. It chooses me. Daniel felt the weight of her words. They were strange, almost poetic, yet painfully honest. The bond was no longer simple. It was a challenge, a risk. But it was also something extraordinary. Over the next few days, the station's atmosphere grew tense. Crew members whispered, rumors spread, and even some humans began to question Daniel's role. Kayla's reliance on him was no longer a private matter. It had become a subject of speculation, judgment, and sometimes envy. Daniel tried to focus on his work, repairing faulty conduits, checking life support systems, and monitoring power outputs. But every time he passed Kayla's quarters or saw her walking through the halls, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. One night, the station's communication system buzzed urgently. Commander Harvin's face appeared on the screen, his expression serious. Rios, Harvin said, I need you in my office immediately. It's about Kayla. Daniel's stomach tightened. Yes, sir. In the office, Harvin gestured to a large hollow screen displaying reports from Sarathi officials. They're insisting she train to sleep alone. They say it is dangerous for her to depend on you. They want a solution. Now. Daniel frowned. And if there's no solution? Harvin's expression darkened. Then they might remove her. From the station, or worse, pressure her into something harmful. That could create a serious incident between humans and Sarathi. Daniel clenched his fists. I can't just leave her alone, you know that. I know, Harvin said quietly. But understand, Rios, this is bigger than you. Bigger than her. This is about trust between species. And if this escalates, it could affect all of us here. Daniel left the office with a heavy heart. The responsibility was no longer about helping Kayla rest. It was about navigating a fragile alliance between humans and Sarathi. That night, Daniel found Kayla in the lounge, waiting as always. Her silver skin glimmered softly in the dim lights. She looked at him with calm understanding. They are angry, Daniel said, dropping into a chair across from her. They want you to stop depending on me. They might force it. Kayla tilted her head. Let them speak. Their anger does not change the truth. My mind is quiet only beside you. You cannot force a mind to silence if it is not ready. Daniel looked at her, realizing something important. This wasn't just about rest, it was about respect, trust, and understanding. Humans had always prided themselves on empathy, on connecting in ways other species sometimes could not. Perhaps that was their strength. I don't want you hurt, he said softly. You cannot protect me from ignorance, Kayla replied. But you can be here. That is enough. Daniel nodded, feeling the strange weight of their connection. For the first time, he understood that this bond was more than curiosity or coincidence. It was a bridge. A fragile, beautiful bridge between two very different species. As Kayla leaned back, closing her eyes for the night, Daniel remained awake, thinking of the rising tension. He knew challenges were coming, the whispers, the politics, the doubts. They were only beginning. But he also knew one thing. He would not abandon her. Not now. Not ever. The alien woman who could only sleep beside him had made him part of something extraordinary. And no matter the risk, he would see it through. The station was quiet that evening, the soft hum of machinery echoing through its corridors. Daniel had expected another night of whispers, stares, and careful vigilance, but nothing could have prepared him for what came next. A sudden alarm shattered the calm, red lights flashing along the walls. A piercing siren rang in every section of the station. Daniel's heart raced as he grabbed his tools and sprinted toward the control hub. He wasn't alone. Crew members of all species were already rushing through the hallways, their faces etched with fear and urgency. "Status," Daniel shouted as he arrived at the hub, panting. Commander Harvin, standing before the holoscreen, pointed to the flickering readouts. "We've been sabotaged," he said. His voice was tense, controlled. "Someone cut the coolant lines in Deck 5. The reactor temperature is rising, and if it reaches critical, the station could lose power, or worse." Daniel's stomach tightened. Deck 5 was in the opposite wing, deep within the station. He knew the reactor systems, the conduits, the safety protocols, but he also knew the danger. A single mistake could mean disaster. "We need someone at the reactor control panel immediately," Harvin said, "and I want Kayla on the bridge. Her neural interface can coordinate repairs faster than any human alone." Daniel froze. Kayla? The same woman who couldn't rest without him? She was now expected to lead under extreme pressure. "Sir, she needs rest. Without it, Harvin's eyes were firm. "There's no time for rest, Rios. If she collapses, we all collapse. But she'll need support. I want you beside her. Keep her stable while she directs the systems." Daniel nodded, his jaw tight. He had never faced a situation like this, but the thought of Kayla, exhausted and under pressure, sent a surge of determination through him. When they reached the bridge, Kayla was already seated, her glowing eyes scanning the holographic displays. She didn't speak at first, her face calm but focused. Daniel took the chair beside her, his hands hovering near the interface consoles. "Daniel," Kayla said softly, almost a whisper, "I need you to stay calm. My mind will only function with your presence." "I'm not going anywhere," Daniel replied. For the next several hours they worked together, a synchronized pair in the chaos. Daniel handled the manual overrides, guided robotic repair units, and patched coolant lines virtually through the interface. Kayla directed him, her mind moving faster than he could process, predicting failures, rerouting power, and stabilizing the reactor. Through it all, Daniel noticed something remarkable. Even under extreme stress, her neural pattern stayed steady, because he was beside her. His presence didn't just calm her, it amplified her capabilities. She was brilliant, faster, more precise than any human or Sarathi could be alone. "Core temperature rising, 5%, Kayla announced. Her voice was calm, measured. "Divert energy to secondary conduits. Daniel, override the manual lock on line 3. Now." Daniel obeyed instantly, fingers flying across the controls. Sparks of energy flared briefly on the display, but the lines held. "Good," Kayla said. "Now reroute the coolant flow. We need full circulation in Deck 5. Minutes passed, like hours. Sweat dripped from Daniel's forehead, his muscles aching from constant movement. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. Kayla relied on him. The station relied on them both. Finally, after what felt like eternity, the alarms ceased. The red lights dimmed, replaced by steady white illumination. The reactor temperature stabilized. Crew members around them released sighs of relief, some cheering Q. The council chamber was tense. Sarathi officials, human representatives, and other alien delegates filled the room. Every eye turned toward Kayla and Daniel as they entered. The recent crisis on the station had changed everything. For some, it was proof of human resourcefulness. For others, it was a challenge to long-held beliefs. One Sarathi leader, a tall figure with sharp silver features, stepped forward. "Kayla," she said, voice cold, "your reliance on a human is troubling. Many of us believe it compromises your judgment. You were chosen for your intellect, yet you need someone else to rest. How can we trust your decisions?" Kayla remained calm, her glowing eyes swept across the assembly. "I am aware of your concern," she said. "But let me remind you of yesterday's events. The station faced a crisis. The reactor core was unstable. Alone, I could not have stabilized it. With Daniel beside me, we saved lives. That is not weakness. That is strength. Whispers filled the room. Some officials looked thoughtful, others frowning, clearly uncomfortable with her words. Daniel stood silently beside her, unsure if he should intervene. Kayla did not need him to speak. She carried authority on her own. Another leader, older and stern, stepped forward. Your bond may have saved lives, but dependency is dangerous. What if your partner is absent in the future? We cannot rely on humans to always be present. What, then? Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady but firm. Sir, I am only one human. But yesterday proved that humans are not just weak or simple. We can connect, adapt, and solve problems in ways other species sometimes cannot. My presence didn't weaken Kayla. It enhanced her abilities. That is human potential. A hush fell over the council. Kayla's eyes glowed faintly, acknowledging Daniel's words. She turned toward the assembly, her tone confident and clear. Dependency is not the right word. Collaboration is better. Daniel is my partner, not my crutch. Together, we achieved what neither of us could alone. This is not about one species over another. It is about what we can do when we trust each other. The older leader frowned, but a younger Sarathi representative stepped forward, voice thoughtful. Perhaps this is a new approach, humans and Sarathi working together, combining their strengths. If this can save lives, perhaps it is not weakness at all. Daniel felt a surge of hope. Even if some leaders resisted, others were beginning to understand. Humans had always been underestimated, but moments like this proved their unique value. Just as tension began to ease, the station's sensors detected an unexpected signal. A hostile alien faction, the Vorath, had approached the planet below. Their ships were armed and fast, moving toward the station with clear intent. The council erupted in panic. Vorath fleet incoming, one officer shouted. They will attack unless we surrender the station. Kayla's eyes glowed sharply. She turned to Daniel. We cannot leave the station defenseless. We must act now. Daniel swallowed hard. We can fight them? The fleet is huge, Kayla. We barely have enough. Defenses for minor threats. They rely on fear, not strategy, Kayla said. And we have what they do not. Coordination and understanding. Humans can improvise. You can help me direct the defenses. Daniel nodded. The sense of duty rose within him. This was no longer just about politics or sleep. Lives, including Kayla's, depended on their decisions. In the station's command center, Kayla and Daniel worked together side by side. Kayla analyzed the Vorath movements, predicting attack patterns and vulnerabilities. Daniel controlled automated turrets, rerouted energy to shields, and coordinated drones to intercept incoming ships. The Vorath fleet struck first. Explosions rocked the station. Red emergency lights flashed, alarms screamed, and debris floated through the corridors. Daniel's heart pounded, but he kept his focus on Kayla's voice guiding him. Divert energy to the forward shields. Now, she commanded. Daniel obeyed immediately. The shields shimmered, absorbing the first wave of attacks. Kayla's calculations were precise, her mind clear and decisive. Daniel realized that without her he would have been lost, and without him she would have been exhausted. Together, they were a force neither human nor Sarathi could manage alone. Minutes stretched like hours. Every decision mattered. Every small error could be catastrophic. Yet through it all, Daniel noticed something extraordinary. Humans, when trusted and given responsibility, could act with intuition, courage, and creativity beyond expectation. Kayla's faith in him allowed him to perform at his best. Finally, the Vorath began to retreat. Their fleet had sustained significant damage from the drones and automated defenses, unable to predict the coordinated strategy of the station's combined human-Sarathi command. The council erupted into applause, though some still looked skeptical. The humans had proven their worth in a way that no amount of records or reports could convey. After the attack, Kayla and Daniel sat together in the lounge. The tension of the crisis slowly faded, replaced by exhaustion and relief. Kayla's silver, Skin reflected the soft light, and her eyes, though glowing faintly, carried warmth. "You stayed?" she said quietly. "I told you I would," Daniel replied. Kayla's smile was faint but sincere. "Not everyone would. Most would have fled, or panicked. You did not. You trusted me, even when it was dangerous." Daniel shook his head. "I just did what needed to be done. But maybe humans are stronger than most people think." Kayla's eyes softened. "Strength is not measured in power or size. It is measured in courage and trust and in connection. You reminded me of that. You reminded everyone." Daniel exhaled slowly. "I guess humans can be more than they seem." Kayla leaned back in her chair, finally allowing herself a long, peaceful rest. Daniel remained beside her, watching over her as she slept. He realized, with a quiet sense of pride, that their bond had not only saved the station, it had shown the galaxy that humans had unique value, even among advanced alien species. For the first time, Daniel felt that he was not just a simple engineer. He was part of something greater, a human capable of courage, connection, and brilliance. A human who could stand beside a Sarathi scholar and face impossible challenges, and he knew that no matter what came next, he and Kayla would face it together. The station was quiet now. The Vorath fleet had retreated, the emergency alarms were off, and the damage control teams were completing repairs. The hum of machinery was steady, and the soft glow of the station lights reflected on every corridor. After the chaos, there was a calm, almost surreal sense of relief. Daniel walked slowly through the corridors, thinking about the past few days. From the whispers and doubts to the sabotage and the attack, he had never expected to find himself at the center of anything so important. And yet here he was, still beside Kayla, the alien scholar whose sleep depended on his presence. When he entered the lounge, Kayla was waiting as always. She was seated comfortably, silver skin catching the soft lights. Her hair flowed over her shoulders, and her glowing eyes held a calm warmth that made Daniel feel steady. "You stayed," she said softly, as if testing him. "I told you I would," Daniel replied, sitting beside her. "Even when everything went wrong, I didn't leave you alone." Kayla nodded. "And that is why we succeeded. Not because I am powerful, or because I am skilled, but because we worked together. Trust is stronger than any weapon. Connection is stronger than fear." Daniel felt a quiet pride. Humanity had been underestimated for so long, seen as fragile, simple, or weak. But through courage, empathy, and the willingness to connect, humans had proven their value. In this moment, he felt the truth of Kayla's words. A few hours later, the station council reconvened. This time the atmosphere was very different. The attack had shown everyone the power of cooperation, the potential of humans to act beyond expectations. Kayla stood at the front, her robes reflecting the soft lights. Daniel remained beside her, calm but alert. The council members exchanged glances, some skeptical, some curious, and some clearly impressed. One of the Sarathi leaders spoke, her tone measured. "Kayla, your actions during the crisis were remarkable. And Daniel Rios, your contributions were significant. It appears that what some called weakness was in fact a unique strength." Another council member, a younger Sarathi, nodded. "Indeed. Humans may have abilities that our species cannot fully predict. Their courage, creativity, and ability to connect with others are strengths we must not ignore." Daniel felt a flush of pride. For so long, humans had been underestimated, and yet here they were, proof of something greater. He wasn't just an engineer. He was part of a team that had changed opinions, that had shown the galaxy what humanity could do. Kayla turned her eyes to the council. "My bond with Daniel Rios is not a flaw. It is an example of the potential of humans and Sarathi working together. Strength is not always in force or intelligence alone. Sometimes it is in connection, trust, and courage." There was silence, a pause heavy with thought. Then slowly nods began around the room. Not everyone was fully convinced, but the proof was undeniable. Humans had earned respect not through power, but through something deeper: empathy, courage, and the ability to act when it mattered most. After the council adjourned, Daniel and Kayla returned to the lounge. The station lights were soft, the air quiet, except for the hum of machinery. Kayla finally relaxed fully, leaning back in her chair. "You know," Daniel said quietly, "I never thought humans could mean so much to someone like you. And yet, here we are." Kayla, look,